So this one is a standalone blog and it is also a part 2. So just to confuse people off the bat, it is both. Yeah, this does act as a standalone blog, but it is actually a part 2 to my previous one on PowerShell and connecting between SQL servers using PowerShell. Basically, at the end of that, we established that yes, it's nice and easy to do, but the PowerShell script we were using had a plain text password in the actual file itself, which obviously we don't want. We don't want scripts with plain text in them. So this is supposed to be kind of an idea of how to take that out to start with, and to kind of encrypt it to some degree. Now, I will be kind of upfront, it is incredibly difficult to actually get a properly encrypted password for the simple reason that invoke SQL command in PowerShell insists on having a plain text password passed to it. So no matter what I'm going to do now, you can get the plain text password out, but at least we're going to make it difficult for someone to do it. You're going to actually have to run the script or edit it or do something with it. If you just glance at it or open it, you're not just going to be able to go, there's the password and read it. So at least it's got that layer in on it. But it's the best we can do, so we're going to go with it. So let's have a quick look at the PowerShell we're going to start with. Now, this is the PowerShell. It's a very basic cut down version. You can see all I've got is a really, really simplistic query. All it's going to do is get me a server name from a server that it looks at. I've then got a connection string. It just goes to my one of my test servers, and it just happily logs in using a plain text username and password, and it runs that query. Now if I run this, you will see, yes, it returns the name of itself, which is what we'd expect it to do. So this is kind of our starting point. Now this is what we don't want to see. I mean, like I said, this is just bad. Anyone who glances at this has just got your username and password. At least make it tricky for someone. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a kind of byte encoded secure string, and then we're going to try and use that to kind of pass through and just make it difficult for someone. So what I'm going to do that is this basically. Now this, if you just want to copy it down or pause the video and knock yourselves out, but basically what this is going to do is this is going to take this kind of key, it's just a byte string that it's going to turn into a key. It's going to use that key to convert my plain text password into a secure string, okay, using that key, and then it's going to write it out to a file, and that file has been declared up here as this. Now what you'll see is I do have, there you go, a very empty folder where this is going to go. So you can see currently an empty folder, and if I obviously run this, if I pull this back over, you'll see it's now created me a password.txt. If I open that, you will see that we just have this garbled mess. That's good, okay, because that's effectively a kind of encrypted string. So that's a starting point. I mean, at least we've now got that far, so that's good. So what we can now do with this, I'm going to put this back over here, is we can now actually start to use this a little bit. So where we've got our original query, what we can actually do is we can say, okay, what I want to do is I want to get my, leave my query there, I want to get my password hash, so my kind of encrypted password, I want to get that from the file that we've just written. So nice and simple, get content of this file. Okay, so it's just going to pull that in. If I then just write this out to the window and only run this portion, you'll see we get the same garbled mess you've just seen in Notepad. Okay, so that's our starting point. Now, we're going to need the key in order to decrypt it, so we put the key in and just say this is our key. This is what we're going to use. Now this is the bit that's tricky, is to actually turn it into a plain text again. We have to run this strange command. Now what I'll do is I will put the strange command down the bottom here, just so you can actually see it on screen, because otherwise it does go slightly off. Not far off, I mean there's not a lot on there, but basically you can see it's running a load of internals to kind of do the decryption of the secure string. So it's getting our password hash, so our secured version, it's using the key to decrypt it, and it's then going to pass it through something that basically takes off the secureness of it and turns it into plain text. Okay, now if we do that, we can now use that password as part of our connection string. And if I run this, okay, now we can connect using that. Now, this is obviously much more secure than the last one. The reason I say it's not properly secure is because, as I mentioned, this basically takes the security off. Okay, this gets what would be a secure string object. You can't read that. It just comes up as secure string. It won't show it to you in the actual console. It will just say this is a secure string. But because we've now effectively kind of desecuritized it, it's my new fun word for the day, we can now actually just return password to the console. And if we run this, you will see we actually get the password in plain text returned. Hence why I kind of said this is not like the solution. All you can do is just make it tricky for people. And this definitely makes it trickier. I mean, at least it's not plain text in your file. People aren't just going to open this and go, oh, it's that. Okay, you actually have to kind of run something. You have to at least have a very small bit of PowerShell knowledge. You have to, just be able to start with access this. I mean, hide it somewhere, put it in your SQL agent jobs and don't give anyone permission to see what's the content of your agent jobs. Then only the people that can see it, and they might not know PowerShell, just try and hide it away. But like I said, it's better than a plain text, but it is not the answer to everything. But at least it will be a starting point, and this may well be allowed within your environment to do it this way. So at least it's a start, and it might get you up and running kind of with SQL and being able to kind of connect through PowerShell to start running your reports, pulling data in, doing all the funky stuff you want to do with PowerShell basically. So hopefully that was a little bit helpful. If it wasn't, then sorry, but this is kind of currently the best you can do. Annoyingly, as I mentioned, the invoke SQL command will only allow a plain text password to be passed through to SQL Server. Hopefully they'll fix it. I mean, PowerShell is Microsoft, SQL Server is Microsoft. You'd hope they could fix this, but for the moment, this is kind of one of the best things you can do, is just try and make it tricky for someone. So there we go. Hopefully that was useful. And as always, head over to our website if you want to kind of find anything on training, support, consultancy, etc. sqltraining.co.uk. We've got a load of blogs on there. This is on there as a blog under the PowerShell blogs. Yeah, there's resources, there's stuff, there's scripts, and any help and advice, just drop us an email. Our email's all over the website. So, and it's in the description just below. So hopefully see you again, and bye.